I woke up in the middle of the night, and I'm not a weird guy, but I swear to you, it was like almost audibly like taunting me.
Erik Bledsoe was held captive by pornography. He sat home alone day after day.
When you're alone with your thoughts, sitting on the couch, it's awful. I felt and knew that something was so broken and so wrong in my heart.
He grew up in church and accepted Christ when he was 6 years old, but walked away after a humiliating conflict with Christian leaders during college.
I became very hurt and very bitter. I chose to run towards whatever would take me in.
Erik dropped out of school and eventually moved to Nashville to pursue a music career. Alone in a new city, Erik turned to pornography for comfort.
I just didn't want anything or anyone, and this was the only thing that I could turn to, I thought. Pornography was a great narcotic because it was whatever I wanted it to be. It lies to you that it will fulfill you, and then as soon as you've given yourself to it, it stabs you in the back.
He eventually turned to women for companionship and bounced from one promiscuous relationship to the next.
I needed intimacy to feel loved, to feel like I was validated as a man, to feel in control because my whole life was in a tailspin, to feel a sense of belonging to anything.
He also started going to a strip club.
That was my moment of, I am sick. I'm in a strip club, but yet I can't even enjoy it because I'm so overcome with compassion for this person because I want them to be whole, and yet I am in the same boat as she is.
Erik ran to the only people he could trust, his parents.
They didn't know any of the things that I was doing. Got in a huge fight about the purpose and value of my life, and it got so bad that eventually they just said, look, we love you, and we are out of our league here. You need some help.
He went to see a physician whose prescription caught him off guard.
He sat down and he asked me 1,000 questions with his chart, and they started off medical and they went more and more personal and psychological at some point. And he said, Erik, the way that you believe and the things that you do are in such contradiction to each other that I think as your doctor that you're going crazy. He said, if I were you, as your medical doctor, not your pastor, I think the best prescription I could write you is for you to go to church.
Erik drove home to Nashville and called a friend who just happened to be going to a Christian conference. He invited Erik to go along.
I knew that I couldn't say no to the Lord forever. And all of those fears and emotions and shame and guilt are so loud in my head, and they are playing like a tape over and over. You need to get out. You should not be here. Wait till they find out what you've done. All of the things. They're going to reject you again. It's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's so loud.
He walked forward that night to rededicate his life to Christ.
When I set my face to walk down the aisle, it just stops. Me putting my foot in the aisle and walking up front to talk to anybody required absolute surrender because of how far I had been.
Erik began studying the Bible and found a man who would mentor him.
I was going to die if I didn't change. And it may not have been the week after, but I was on a path to either take my own life or lose it. And just out of sheer depression and loneliness. And the only thing that I have ever seen, that I have ever heard work, is when you cultivate such a relationship with Christ that it becomes a greater high than logging onto porn, to be chaste and holy unto God. So much so that to sell out for porn is like a joke. I'm practicing renewing my mind, being around men and women of God, trying to listen to the Holy Spirit, being in church, doing the right things, and slowly over time, one thing is replaced for another, and eventually it just clicked.
Today, Erik is married with a young son.
I long to be faithful to my wife now. Why would I give up my home, and my marriage, and my family for 15 minutes with a computer? I mean, come on. There is a place that is only meant for God. And when we try to take anything that's not God and fill that void in us with it, we also end up more empty and more alone and more depressed. There is a God who sees you, Jesus, who knows the things that you're choosing over him, the things that you've been a part of, and he is waiting to forgive you for those things. He has decided that he would rather die than live without you.